Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to be talking about the season 1 review of Bartender. Honestly, it's got a lot of good things to talk about. It's got some critiques on it. It is a remake. We did not see the original, can't really find the original, but I will say that the remake, I feel like, did well. Overall, I think we say right off the bat that it did pretty well, especially towards the end there. It got pretty insane and intense, which I didn't expect. But little bit of a take here. In the beginning, because we have a podcast, the Casual Week podcast, drops every Tuesday, so link in the description if you're interested. We were following it from episode 1, you know what I mean? So we were kind of, each week, kind of giving little takes of kind of what we were thinking. Is this going to be good? Is it not going to be good? Are we still going to continue to watch it? And we're kind of like, all right, it has got a lot of mystery. It's kind of like, has a weird way of like presenting itself. And we ended up really kind of getting into it and liking it and stuff like that. And now that it's done, I think the beginning kind of sucks. It's like the
Yeah.
beginning, the way it's structured is not nearly like even close to how it was at the end. It's not even like, oh, it just progressed a lot and a lot of things different happened. It was like at the beginning didn't even focus on
Yeah.
Sasakura. You know what I mean? It was way more about like the hotel and like you wouldn't know where I was gonna go, and like then it turned into a completely different anime. It's kind of like it, yeah, I don't know. It felt like it was two animes that kind of mixed into one, divided by a split in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? It was just like a very weird start, and I feel like it's very easy to fall out of love and to stop watching this anime right from the beginning.
That's a really good point because, like, looking back and rereading like the
Hmm.
episode list, it was like there's a lot that happens in the beginning, but it's very like broken up. Like they give you very little about Sasakura, who's the main character,
Hmm.
and it's more about Miwa and like the family hotel and getting that set up, and they're looking for a bartender and this and that. But like you meet all these characters and like you don't really feel like Sasakura is the MC or like I don't know. Yeah, it's a little awkward for the first couple episodes. Like it's still good, but it's like a very very chill slice of life in the beginning, which like you said, it's easy like to drop because it's not like building anything. There was like no real suspense or whatever, but
Yeah.
by the end of the season, I was like I couldn't put it down. It was like very easy to watch. Like the plot line gets like much more dramatic, I would say, but
It was also set
yeah,
up a
definitely.
lot better. You know, it actually followed to Sakura. It showed the scenes outside the bar a lot better. Like the whole thing was setting up the whole thing with the family and the hotel could have been done in an episode. You know what I mean? But they dragged it on for
100%.
3. You know, and then they also portrayed Sakura as like this image that like they didn't follow through with. They like portrayed him as like this dude who forgets everything, like doesn't
Like
really
a
know anything, like a
slacker.
dunce. Yeah, and it's like, but then when as this progresses, you know, but then they see him in the bar and like, oh my god, this guy's really well put together and like does a lot of great things. But like throughout the series, like we still see him outside the bar all the time, and it's not like he was ever forgetting anything. He was like very on pace. He was a normal dude. So like the way they portrayed him in like the first couple episodes is completely not what we see as the season progresses. So I feel like the first part of the season, they just did not know which direction to take it. They were all over the place, and it's just very easy to like to drop it. But if you stayed with it, then it got put together a lot more. Started focused on Sasakura on the bar, the clients, and just the whole story really progressed, ramped up, and then towards the end, did it pop off and explode? I mean, the plot got absolutely insane, got a little dark, got a little serious. It was just very good, and what an ending too! What an ending!
Yeah, I was very satisfied by the ending,
Hmm.
but episodes like 8 through 12, it was like, oh damn, this is like really good. Like, oh shit, like it was a lot different than I thought it compared to like the first 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah.
The one question I wanted to ask you is what did you think about Chen as a character, the blonde guy? They go on like the trip to the distillery, which I thought was cool. That
Yeah.
would be like something I would love to do or whatever. But like it felt extremely fucking out of place in the story, and they bring Chen out of nowhere, literally from the top rope. He comes from nowhere, like literally a character out of air, and like he's awkward, he's kind of rude, like he's got daddy issues. Like I felt like he was super out of place in the story.
I actually liked him, and I don't think he was actually because like okay, here's the thing. You're right. They brought him out of complete nowhere, but they did that with a lot of people. They did that with a lot of different bartenders. Like the one girl who ends up working at the hotel before Sasakura, that where he ends up kind of like, you know, kind of like it was the first one. He was kind of like a dick to somebody, even though he was just kind of like pushing her harder. Because he's like, hey, if you want to be a bartender, like you have to have thick skin. You actually have to have that fire in you to constantly do this over and over and over and over again and obsess over it. You know, he really pushed her. She became a way better bartender and ended up working at that hotel, the Cardinal Hotel, before he did in like the main bar area instead of like the private bar. So like she kind of came out of nowhere, and so did the other girl who was at like the more rundown bar. Same thing with the two clients who became like lovers, especially towards the end, that got brought back up and revisited. They did that a lot, where like they kind of brought people in, had their interaction, and then they left, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like a revolving door of characters in all different situations, whether it was a bartender, people who were running bars, hotel managers, and clients, like customers and stuff. So it was very cool, and I think Chen's actually amplified a lot of the moments, because you're right, he came in, it was kind of weird when it was at the hotel, when they went on the distillery, but then after that, like, Chen kind of shined. Like, his performance and his role at the competition made the entire competition. It was the highlight, him fucking up. Then what he said to
Yeah,
his
I
dad,
agree.
his drink, everything about it just made that competition so much better. And then, seeing him at the bar with Sasakura, his dad comes in, you have this whole thing. I feel like his story was actually, especially towards the end of his story, his little arc, I feel like it was really good and really well done. It actually had more oomph than some of the other ones.
That's definitely fair. Like, it was definitely a better, more like complete development of a character than,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, some of the other clients that we meet. His drink was fire, and then how he like
Yeah.
rattles off the two flowers. He's like, "Well, I have two homes." It was like, "Ooh, okay, all right, Chen, I see you, bro."
Yeah,
Like
dude.
that was really cool. But yeah, he's like awkward for the first few episodes, which I guess just fits in with like that whole theme of like the beginning really isn't that good compared to the end. But yeah, the scene with his dad walking out too, like, brings it full circle, and like you definitely feel better about it, because like
Yeah.
he was taking L's like almost constantly. You know what I mean? Like, he was just really unhappy. Like, I mean, you felt bad for him, but yeah, he was definitely down.
Yeah, dude, it was sick. I thought it was really cool. I don't think we got a little conclusion to that little love affair he had, where in that district that they went to, whatever they went to for the distillery. Because remember, he went there when he was a kid. He's at the hotel. He met the girl, and then he bailed on it. It was like that whole mess. I don't think we got any conclusion to that, which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
But like I said, I completely get what you're saying. It kind of came out of nowhere, but then when you kind of think about taking him out of it, that's when you kind of see like, oh yeah, you know what? He actually did have a little bit. He actually had some oomph when it's with his presence, because again, the competition is not going to be as good without him, in my opinion. The person that I think was more so in your way, like how you kind of said, it was kind of like out there out of nowhere. In my opinion, it was actually the kind of the girl at the more rundown bar that he knew, that who actually won that competition, because she kind of came in, seemed really cool, and then just disappeared. Like, she was put towards the back the entire time towards the competition. It was more focused on Chen and then the other girl who ends up working at the Cardinal Hotel, and then it was more focused on her. She actually won, and then we never really saw her again. You know what I mean? Like,
I
hers
don't.
was
Do
the
we
most
even
like,
see her again after the competition?
no, it was
Maybe,
her. She was
maybe
stealthy.
once.
Yeah, she was stealthy, man. Where we kind of like introduced her to a little bit, kind of showed her at the distillery with her and the other girl becoming like best friends and getting fucked up and missing the
Getting
train.
drunk and being late to everything. Like, yeah, I there's like a lot that happens between, like episode 8 at the start of the competition, or 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think it's 7. From episode like 6 or 7 or whatever, to episode 12. There's a like lot that happens, but you're definitely right. I don't even think we see her after she wins the competition, but she was definitely a good like partner to I think her name's Kyoko.
I
She's
think
like the one
so.
who improves the most.
Yeah, and she also, like, I don't know, like I said, I feel like her character was too like slept on. You know what I mean? Because it's just like the thing is that she improved a ton, ends up winning the competition, but it's like we never really focused on her. We never really saw her after that. We never got that, like, that kind of here's where she's at now, type moment. But we had that for everybody else.
And we get like that scene where she's trying to make, she's like struggling with the name for her original drink.
Hmm.
And she's like talking with her mentor or old head or whatever. Like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I actually never thought about that till you brought it up, but we don't see her again until after, yeah, the competition. And like, there's a lot of people, like the lawyer. I think she's a lawyer. The lawyer
Oh, in the
chick who
very
comes in.
beginning, who gets like the
Yeah,
bow shot?
yeah, she's all banged the fuck up and like smoking and shit.
Yeah,
That was like a cool interaction. Like, Sasakura kind of lifts her up, which like is pretty much the theme of Eden Hall, the bar he works at. Like, he like makes everybody feel a little bit better. He's he's witty, he's charming, and like they don't revisit her until like the final scenes of like the last episode. They like show her quick once, but like we do get that with some of the clients. So you're definitely right. I feel like we got more out of Chen, and the other bartender chick who works for the Cardinal than anybody else.
Yeah, dude, the clients, in my opinion, were goaded, and I feel like they needed to have more focus on them because, like, we had the lawyer chick, we had the two that became like lovers and ended up meeting, right? So the one dude was rude that one time. Now they end up going there was to smoke. You had like so many different people there that was just like so cool. The author, the other
Author
bartender,
was sick.
like there's so many, it's like they're really cool interactions because in my opinion they're kind of like those like quote unquote like filler episodes that we usually see in other animes where it's like it's a story that's being told in one episode, and I something about that I just really like those little short stories that are just in the one episode. You get the start of it, the middle, and the conclusion, and it's just like yo, like that was nice, that was enjoyable. And I think that was really cool, and I think that the what they did with the clients or the customers was really cool. I think that they made them like really different with different problems and different solutions with different drinks. And of course, whenever they had a problem and you had that drink that just cured them, it was really cool seeing all of these different cocktails and drinks that were being made and the history behind them and how they're made. A lot of them I never heard of, and they actually seemed pretty goddamn cool. Maybe we got to do a video making them and trying them, to be honest.
Sick, hell yeah. Yeah, like the realism of like, being at like a Japanese bar and stuff, or like being in Tokyo or wherever they're at, like chopping up the ice and stuff, and like
Yeah.
the animations of like all the bottles they have. All that stuff was really cool, and I thought really well done, especially when they're at the bar, and when they're at Sasakura's former coworker's bar. It's like real dark and dingy and stuff. Like the
Dude,
setting
the
for that was
frontline
kind of cool.
hospital. That I loved when they said that. I
Yeah,
was like, dude, that's actually fucking crazy. And that kind of got dark too, because you ended up hearing about that one girl, one woman, like her history, like her childhood, like her like story, and you're like, fuck, like damn, like it's hard to hear, and like you kind of see that it's like yeah, like you have those bars that really are more so on the front lines, and the way that he looked and talked about that was crazy, and you kind of see the two different sides to it because they are both apprentices of that one guy, that one old dude. So it's crazy to see how he mentored them both and how they both took those two separate directions, but with the same kind of idea of curing people and helping people. It was crazy when he said some people drink it because it is poison. You know what I mean? He's like. Alcohol can be poison or it can be medicine, and he's like, well, this is poison. He's like, well, yeah, some people drink it because of that. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's the point. So it was kind of crazy to see that, and then of course, the old man, dude, that scene was insane when he went back behind the bar, did some, made some drinks, and then they what was it? What was it called when they were talking about like lighting the fires on some of the drinks?
yeah, I forget. And they
It was like drinking with their
what was,
past comrades, just people that ended up dying because of it, type stuff. Like the
I think
one
his
dude.
name is Kase, but yeah, Bar Kaze or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
They name it after him. That was super super cool. Very good episode.
dude, yeah, that was insane. But yeah, we're talking about a lot like that happened. But like, yeah, like what you were saying before is like the animation was absolutely insane. The way that they showed, the actual just little things of them like cutting up the limes or like chopping the ice or doing things like that was really nice. The alcohol, the bottles, the glasses, the fruits and other stuff looked so good. It was animated so well and just looked so sick. So the animation is really there. I think the story is there. I think it was just the way that the beginning of it was presented was just not good and just not there. That's the part where I think that this anime really kind of fumbled. But other than that, I think it was insane. They did a lot well.
Like you said, the explanations of some of those drinks too was really cool because like obviously not everybody knows, and like the setting of like Eden Hall and the other bar like very different than a bar you would find here, which I really liked. You know what I mean? Kind of brought me back to Japan, which was really cool. Like it was very realistic in that sense, and like even though it was like slice of life ish with the interactions between the other characters, you got like a lot of that realism, which I thought was really cool. Because you don't always get like like when they go to the Friends bar, it's in Kabukicho, which is like like the rough area or the party area
Yeah.
of Tokyo. Like just some of that realism stuff, I thought it's like a immersive or whatever you want to call it in the story. I thought it would fit really well, and like you said, the animation was really really well done when it should have been.
Do you think they're gonna have a season two? Because like we kind of have the conclusion where he works at the Cardinal Hotel now, but like at the same time, like you could easily keep this going with kind of knowing more about Sasakura's past, but also just this slice of life. I mean, if we have an anime if we have like another season that's like set up the same way that the second half of the season was, with kind of just like the pacing and kind of like the direction, but it was just kind of focused more on the clients and kind of having them coming in and having their stories, the drink, and they're on their way, with also seeing the progress and the rise of the Cardinal Hotel. Do you think that that would be a good second season, or if they should do that, or if that's going to be it and it's just season one and we're done?
I think if I had to guess, it'll end on season one. I'm not sure like how big the appetite for it was. I think it finished really well.
Hmm.
Um, it's rated pretty good on Crunchyroll, so I'd imagine people liked it. I would love a season two. I don't know if they'll like invest in it like that, but season two would be sick because like in like a super fancy hotel, like you could bring in all kinds of like exotic characters and like people from walks of life. I could definitely get with that for 10 episodes, but yeah, bring the pacing of the last 4 to 5 episodes, and yeah, that would be a great season
And
too.
what would be sick too is have that, but then have the kind of the main story be him against Mr. Perfect. They got to compete. Soccer's got to get
Yeah,
that crown back. You know what I mean? So I think that would be really cool as well. Again, another character that just kind of comes in and then ends up going Mr. Perfect. I think that that was sick. But yeah, I think that I think that the material for a second season, like they got stuff that they can do. But again, the anime does seem pretty niche. It doesn't. You don't know like who is exactly going to be watching it, how many people are going to be watching it. I think it was good. If you watched it and you're kind of like into that kind of thing, I feel like you're gonna have liked it. I think it was solid. I thought it was enjoyable. But like, I like to see a season two. I'm not gonna lie. I'd watch.
I definitely would too, dude. Just to get more out of like Sasakura, and like you could come up with a ton of different characters, like internationally and stuff. They kind of touched on that in the first season. Like you could have a lot of fun with season two. I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it.
So how would you rate this anime? Season one, what would you rate it?
If I was being critical, I would say like 7.5, but I really like the end a lot. So I would say like an 8. And like I don't know, for me maybe like seeing all that stuff in Japan and like the realism aspect makes me like it a little bit more, but other than the like the first 4 or 5 episodes, it was really solid.
Yeah, I think it'd have to go with the 7, just because the beginning it was just too all over the place, and it was more so the consistency just wasn't there. Like Sasaki is not the same guy in the first half of the season and in the second half. Like again, they made him seem like such a klutz and an airhead in the first half, and then he's just not that at all in the second half of the season. Even when they're going out the bar, it's not like they made one kind of reference of, "Oh, I forgot my wallet again." He didn't forget anything. You know what I mean? It was just like,
Yeah, never again.
yeah, it was just insane. Like everything that they built up in the first part of the season of like who this guy is just was not it. It was a completely different character when we actually got to know him. So yeah, I think it was more of a 7, just because the beginning was tough and it was like the first half of the season, not like 1 or 2 episodes. So I feel like that's gonna be hard for people to kind of get in and actually like watch. But I think it was like really well done, especially towards the end. I think the animation was sick, the story was really good, and hopefully we see a season two, because I think that they can do a season two really well, especially since they found their footing in the second half. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here for a season 2. But yeah, I think that's fair. Somewhere in the 7, I think it's definitely fair.
Oh, yeah. But that is it. You got anything else you want to say about Bartender?
I would give it a watch. You know what I mean? I think there's enough this season that you can check out. Like it's definitely worth watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, too, the cool thing is with the second season is that we could also see the rise and kind of the growth of that other bartender who's also working at the Cardinal Hotel. Because we kind of saw her since day one when she was like really struggling at the first bar. You know what I mean? Then she ends up going to the competition, doing kind of well. Now she's at the Cardinal Hotel. It'd be cool to kind of see her, kind of compete on that higher level as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. They have enough material for a second season. Like you could have a lot of fun with it. I think like they found their footing, and if people enjoyed it, why not do it? You know what I mean? The animation was sick. Like I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the season. If you think a friend will enjoy Bartender, let them know, because it is pretty cool. It is pretty interesting, and hey, it is kind of the cool to know these like little fun facts about alcohol and all these different drinks that are being made and the history behind them. I think it is very cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and that's it. Peace.